If you could have one desire and one desire only, one wish fulfilled this year or in your current incarnation, and only one, what would it be? Ask yourself this question within. Take a moment right now and just ask the self within you this question. And don't try to answer it. Do not try to answer this question with your intellect. Don't try to answer it at all. Just ask yourself the question. Your intellect doesn't know the answer anyway. Only yourself knows. So again, ask yourself now, and each night this week with your core practice, ask yourself, if you could have one desire fulfilled in this year or incarnation, what would it be? And then watch what unfolds for you over the next week and the next few months. Later this year, remember you asked yourself this question. Welcome to Pathworking the Tree of Life with Alchemical Cabala. This week, we're working with the 24th path of Noon, the fish. This is the key of transition in the Book of Wisdom and is the Hebrew letter Noon. On the Tree of Life, this path connects the desire nature of Venus to the central self of Tiferet, the heart of the tree, beauty. The transition key is the key of Scorpio in the zodiac. So you see the currents and energies that work here are Venus, Scorpio, and the Sun. In the transition key, we see the turning of the outer drives of desire within back to the source of all desires, which is the self. The self is the true source of all desires, or simply desire. The self is the source of all desire. Let's get right to the heart of the matter and take a few moments. Center yourself and deeply inhale and exhale the imagery of the 13th key of the tarot, transition. As you're ready, unmute yourself, please, one at a time, and read what occurs to you, what comes through for you in our path and key for this week, transition.
The white rose uh, is purified desires and appears with the Fool, and just in these two places, I believe. And the sprouting of new life, even.
Beautiful. Thank you, Victoria. You have more to say on that? Okay.
The It also stands out the twists in the spine and the neck,
Yeah, right. Right
how
here.
that affects the energies, the Scorpio or the Kundalini energy that's twisted at the Mars section and then comes up to the Venus section of the throat.
Oh, that's an excellent observation. Thank you for sharing that. 100%. Yes, that is what's going on here. Exactly.
I think in light of that too, it says how the bones hold everything together and it holds our flesh with us. And I'm one who likes to work with the body that's dressed. I don't want to work with a
Uh-huh.
nude body. So I had a hard time with this, thinking it was not beautiful till, I learned that all the things the bone does, that it
Yeah.
holds us together. Yeah.
Can you comment on that? The things that bone does besides the supporting the body? Anything?
Mm. Holds the flesh
Yes. Okay.
of the body.
Definitely. Yep. It supports all our flesh, right?
Kind of like a hanger. We just put our different
Mhm.
bodies on it or outfits.
Right?
And all the movement, it helps
Yes.
movement.
Yes. Excellent. So one of the Hebrew associations with this key is move,
And change.
motion. It's motion. Yes. And
Motion.
change. Right. Does everyone here know? I'm sure all the medical folks know, and maybe everyone, but your blood is made inside of the bones.
Mhm. And I think this spine is twisted for a reason too.
Uh-huh. Right, right here. Excellent.
Mhm.
Yes. 100%. Why do you think that is? There's no wrong answer. I'm just curious what your thoughts on what it might be.
Well, I think so you can see 360 degrees.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's I see that the torso's twisted and turned back towards the sun.
Mhm.
Are the pelvic bones, are they in the right, in the forward direction? Not the right, but
Yeah, they're kind of
okay.
facing towards the rows here,
Mhm.
right? In this direction. Yes.
Hmm.
What was so prominent in this card for me was the sun in the background, and I don't even think I ever paid attention ever to it, but it's just like here I am, the sun is just
Yeah.
huge in this picture, and I don't even think I ever focused on that before.
Uh,
So wow.
right,
I
right?
focused more what was in front of, the front of the photo or
Yeah.
picture. So, and the water flowing.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I can't tell which way it's flowing, but that would be mind
Okay.
into the
Interesting.
sun, into
Mm-hmm.
the illumination
Okay.
that leads from rebirth and transition and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the only hint I see is to the possible direction of the flow of the waters is that the boat is positioned this way.
Huh?
So for me, that suggests that possibly the current's flowing towards the sun.
Towards the sun, the mind into
Yes.
the illuminated, into the illumination
Yes.
of the sun or
Right.
something.
So it depends, right, on which way we're path working when we do the tree, right? If we're going from Venus to the sun, then this would make sense, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
However, if we're going from the sun to Venus, then possibly it's flowing this way. Possibly.
The little feet bones are not connected. I don't know about the hand bones. The fingers and toes, they're kind of
Right.
have
Yeah, I see what
spaces
you're
in
saying.
between them.
Right. Just
Huh.
like the skeleton, right? Just like that.
Well, they're actually connected in our skeleton,
Uh-huh.
right?
Well, you've got tendon or ligaments, right? That connect the bones to the bones, but and tendons which connect the muscles to the bones.
Hmm.
But no, the actual bones, if you take away the ligaments, then they're free floating.
Really?
Yeah, everything's free floating. Yes.
Because what's the thing? There's no two bones actually like touch each other. You know, there's the cartilage and the
Yes, right. There's
thing and all
cartilage
that.
between.
Oh.
Exactly.
hmm
Hmm.
Intricate,
Mhm.
you know, it's
Well,
like
I'm not
this,
actually.
tons of tension. Go ahead, Teresa.
Teresa, or did you want to say something? I think you're muted.
I was muted. I didn't say anything. I don't know how
Oh,
that happened.
no worries. No worries.
I had a quick question, actually. So because looking at this, there's trying to see what I noticed before. That small, what is that? It looks like a small device with a water on the left-hand side. Yeah, that next to the canoe.
Right
Yeah,
here, the
what
little
is
boot.
that?
The boot?
Yeah, is that what that is? A boot? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
little boot.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that just didn't because I saw it with a little bit of the water, but it's like okay, they were I guess clothed and then got on
Right.
the on
As
shore, and
far
it's
as
like
I
it's good
know,
to work.
this is a unique image to the Hume Tarot. I'm not
Uh,
aware of it in another. It may be, but this, as far as I know, this is a specific to this deck, which is,
Interesting.
it is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The device on the right-hand side, though, is that used to like till soil or something, or like a
Yeah,
different kind of thing?
right.
Okay.
Yes.
This time looking at the card, I was noticing the black. Well, first I noticed the red and the hand and the foot, and it feels like a very active card. More, and I guess before I'd always seen it as kind of passive, but it doesn't think it's not feeling like that this time. And the dirt feels like it's moving just like the water's moving.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
nice
why,
imagery,
but it
Dana.
does.
Yeah. Like the rich silt here
Yes, it's
flowing.
just like black dirt.
Yeah. Super rich. Has this ever occurred to anyone when you see the trees sprouting behind the skeleton? It's almost as if the inner contents of excretion have come here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From a bodily function. It just shows the fertilization and the getting rid of things that are no longer nourishing, but they nourish other things.
That's interesting.
And there's the really fertile black soil there, and you
Exactly.
see little sprouts coming up.
Yep, exactly.
That would all make perfect sense.
Yeah. The green, as Margot reminds us often, which is of love.
Mm.
That's why that gardening tool is there, because it symbolizes cultivation. So the black soil being fertilized, and
Yep.
and the sprouts coming up, it all points to that same thing.
Mm,
Love, light, life, all in this picture.
yeah.
I think it's
Well,
also referred to as the death card. I think in some
yes, that's
because
correct.
it says transition and death, but I mean I feel like it's about, you know, letting go of what no longer serves you instead of carrying
Yes.
it with you, and then so that the new beginning can come in. And I find
Wonderful.
it really, really interesting that we're doing this card right before the eclipse, which, you know, eclipses usually signify, you know, letting go, letting go of things that don't serve you anymore. Like what thoughts are you holding in your mind that need to be released so
Yep.
that the new can come in? Because if your mind is so preoccupied with the past, your future is your past. It's just you're not allowing the mind to let go so that the new beginning can come in, and that would be the sun. You know, that would be the brightness of a future if we're still holding on to things that need to be released.
That's absolutely wonderful input, observation, Christina. Thank you. That's exactly correct. Yes. This key helps us. This key helps us do that. Sorry, Marco. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that's very observant is nature will take millions of years to make something change naturally. And we, as the architects, have been given this ability to, in the twinkle of an eye, make substantial changes using the elements. And here we see the bare bones, the underlying skeletal structure. And yet we are the craftsmen, the ones that change things. So that if you want coal, a tree has to burn and be in the earth for thousands of years, and then you can dig it up and use it, and it releases its energy. But we take that and transmute nature in the twinkling of an eye. And it's for us to learn how to do that which we've forgotten how to do. And so we have the farmer's tools, but in essence, the smile on his face, on this skeleton, the smile, the preparation, and the awareness that all of this is ours to live and work with and be in and change for the better, to be tuned into nature, use the laws of nature to make the changes. And get down to the bare bones of it all without the hindrances of it's mine or ego or look at me. No, just the basics. And follow the laws of nature. And that's where our power, force, and energy comes from.
Thank you, Margot.
It might be very abstract in my thought process, but it just makes me think about like how if everything that ever was and will be a human at some point and go through a human process and an evolution process, transitional process, like through human form.
Mhm.
And I don't know why that makes me think it makes me think of that. Like,
Okay.
what are the bones of our body made of, the minerals in our body and the water? I mean, all of it just.
Mm.
All is continuously changing when you put it that way. We are taking care of animal life, and we We work with the soil. We cultivate minerals by working with the soil, understanding how it works. All of this is a lesson in understanding nature and the laws of nature, of which we are in charge. And we've just forgotten being able to hear without our ears and see without our eyes. It's a wonderful, magnificent adventure for each of us to do this in communion, in giving and mutual assistance. And then all of nature will reveal itself to us as we work with it. And that's the white rose, the purity of thought. But the white rose is the grace of the love in our hearts when we go about our business.
I
And
love you said
yeah.
that we can see without our eyes. That we have that gift and ability. And you know, in the Sephir Yetzirah, the 24th path, which is this key, is called the imaginative intelligence.
He has no eyes. Is that what you're pointing out?
That's
the
what you're
thing.
pointing out.
No.
But yeah, so
There
go
are
ahead,
four
Connie.
aspects we go through. Concentration, in order to start reorganizing ourselves through the Kabbalah and through the tarot, is concentration, imagination, then
Yes.
meditation. If you can't imagine it, it's not going to happen.
Yes. Sustained,
Yeah.
being able to keep the mind sustained in one realm of images is what brings that about. And we do that first without the physical eyes, right?
Mhm.
Our physical eyes are just the after, right? The vehicles for this vibratory level of reality. Whereas our inner vision, which is our knowing, right? True vision is in the heart. What we hold there in true vision repeatedly will show up in this world. You know,
Imagination, yeah, allows us to step out. It's like the Fool card. You
It's the
think he's
key.
going to drop off a cliff, but he imagines he's on the path of return. He's going out to have experiences to come back. And he imagines it so he never falls off the cliff. He never goes
Yes.
anywhere. But we go everywhere and nowhere. Try that one.
Right. The moveless mover. And our use of the imagination, let me clarify this. Our skillful use of the imagination is the key to accessing the inner tree of life within you. It's the key to accessing everything within you. It's like the teaching, remember, we see what we look at, not what we look for. It was like, I'm looking for some abstract thing. No. Hold within your knowing and inner vision that which you wish to see, and you hold it long enough. The truth of what that is will use that imagery as long as your intention is pure to commune with you. And you'll come to this knowing of the inner planes through this process. This is why mastering the core practice of marrying and melding the inner and outer, your inner and outer vision to be in harmony with one another, opens these gates within you. these doorways, these paths. And then it's no longer an intellectual exercise. Then we're
It's
waking
like,
up.
yeah, it's like walking through the woods. You have no idea. You're just walking through
Right,
the woods.
right, right.
No preconceptions. Just, oh, this is beautiful. How wonderful. And you're in a state of peace and you're walking.
The beauty of the tarot is it assists us to see and to develop our own inner latent abilities that for a great number of people they just kind of go through like dreamland, right? Just whatever images come. But here, Michael had a short spiritual briefing recently talking about how thoughts are so important. Choose them wisely. Right now is the key time to do that. The seeds here that we plant in thought and word and deed, make them beautiful, make them good, make them as high a conception of the good that one can conceive. And simple. Doesn't have to be super always cosmic far out, but just super simple, just wishing the good for all things and all beings. And then when life comes in to cull away what's no longer necessary, there might be less to have to be put back, because our garden is more beautiful and more in harmony with beauty, which we see as the sun rising right back here. That's our job, right? To bring heaven to earth.
Is this
Yeah.
card also
Is it
about
what?
is this card also about reincarnation? Like the foot is stepping into this life and the hand is helping you out of this life, and then the seed is into the new life that, through reincarnation.
I love that thought of what you're saying. Rachel.
And the old boot.
What do you think?
The old boot.
What do you think?
I'm totally seeing reincarnation in this card.
Okay.
Totally.
And we talk about reincarnation, oftentimes we talk about it as like reincarnated into the physical world, right? That's how most people think of it. What
Right.
if we're reincarnating back into our spiritual life?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's going on more so in this card.
Kicking off the boot of materialism and entering
Yes.
spiritual realm. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Becoming
never
more.
saw that either.
Well, you brought it to the party, so thank you.
It was a fun card.
That would explain the boot almost.
It would, wouldn't it? There'd be one good.
Oh.
So
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, creation
These-
is, I like the hand and the foot. Creation is closer than your hands or your feet.
Ah, yes, yes. The hands near the self-conscious mind, the foot's near the subconscious mind. Lovely imagery here. And this key helps us identify with ourselves, right? Our real self, not our self-conscious thoughts and not our subconscious thoughts either, but our real self that is above both of these things. These, not things, but these aspects of our consciousness. This is beyond words. That's the whole point. It can still be experienced and known. And how you know is because the self reveals it to you.
I see the fish as an idea of Go fishing, get an answer.
Nice.
Just look. Not only nature, but even objects, they all talk to us if we just look at them. And they will speak to us of what and who they are. You look at a tree and allow it to talk to you with its branches and the new leaves coming out in this season, or when it's losing its leaves. Just look at the tree and go, what's going on there? Tell me more about yourself. Instead of walking by, listening to something on your cell phone, go hang out with a tree.
Lovely.
I have to put my hands on really nice trees when I see them and look up, and there's this tree by my mom's, and I walk when I'm there, and there's this beautiful huge old tree, and I know it's been there for at least 100 years, and I can just imagine what it's seen there, and it just attracts me. It's really cool.
Yeah.
On the deck, it says the fish in the stream is to be colored in gold.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Oh, it is. Okay, I couldn't find it.
I know. You know, I did what I could when I had these painted.
Well, you bring up a great point,
yeah,
Nancy.
it's in there.
So when you're
Naturally.
visualizing this week, I want you to, in your inner vision, see that goldfish in the river. Thank you, Nancy, for bringing that up. That's an excellent observation.
See the goldfish in the river.
Yes. In your inner vision, when you work with this key, imagine it there.
I have a painting of a goldfish over my fireplace mantle.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. So the imaginative intelligence, so you know the word mage, right? Everyone knows that word. Well, this is what we are all learning to do or be better mages. The whole work of the core practice in Cabala and the tarot is skillful use of the creative imagination. Skillful use. And the keys themselves are that. They are skillful use. When we train our mind to think in the same patterns, those intelligences open up. They're the keys to the doors. They're the doors and the keys to the same door, to the inner. And as we learn to hold the imagery within our heart or mind, within, which is the second half of the core practice, you're learning to use the imagery of the mind within which we all dwell, the archetypal mind, and you're resonating at that level. And then that living intelligence that is behind this image becomes present and accessible. And it's unique for every person at every point on the path. But you'll find a consistency and you'll find a thread, a golden thread that runs through your own inner experience while doing the work with the keys.
And the water leads you to the sun. The water is always mind. It's a symbol for mind and memory, and it moves towards the sun.
And the skeleton's walking that direction.
Yeah.
I love that in all 22 keys, there's only 2 keys with the white rose. This key and the full key. That's it. It's an interesting contemplation and meditation for you, if you choose. What's one thing that immediately stands out to you about the full key that you don't see in this key? Off top of your head.
Well, hunched over is instead of expanded open.
Okay.
The purse.
Okay. Thank you.
The sun is fully risen in the
Okay. Lovely. Thank you.
He's fully dressed, and here he's fully there.
Yes. Yes. Lovely. And what's around the fool? Remember?
The egg of light.
Perfect. Thank you, Marco. The egg of light. Very, very appropriate for your contemplation in this key.
I feel like this one I'm feeling just all of a sudden just the sense of being so raw, naked, and open in front of God.
Mm,
And
nice.
just completely exposed.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
And your vulnerability leads you into a state of knowing and trust.
Can I ask a question?
Please do.
Why, how do I know that's a sunrise instead of a sunset?
That's a great question, Sue. I was going to ask the question earlier.
You have no idea.
How does it occur to you right now?
Well, now, because I've read in the book and so forth, it's a sunrise, but I always saw it as the sun setting.
Uh-huh. And you know, every sunrise, wherever it's observed, is a sunset somewhere else.
So you have it right in both ways.
Okay.
All your
Yeah.
bases are covered.
Right.
Very good, Sue.
It's all perspective of where one is, right?
Mhm.
And what one is identifying with. Remember?
I can't help but I just have to say this one thing. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. Red sky at night, sailor's delight.
That's funny.
That's
That's
a
cute.
warning that, like, okay, you're gonna transition now.
Okay. Interesting.
I just couldn't help it.
No, it's fine. So red is the color of Mars and action and power, right? Volition on the
Mhm.
tree.
Yeah.
And the sun's rising into this power, right?
Into the transition.
Right. So, yeah. So who else who hasn't shared would like to share on what you see in this key?
I'll share.
Mhm.
If okay. Um when you mentioned the egg of light there a second ago, it kind of helped me understand a little bit more of what I was looking at. There's that oval shape by the pelvis there in the skeleton.
Here and here. Mhm.
Yeah, and there's one that's very much almost like a perfect oval.
Mhm. Yep.
And so it seems this is the egg in a sense. And when we're talking about the Fool key, we're talking about that purity of being almost that is embodied here in some way. And we have the two archetypes and these bubbles below, part of that same thing.
Mhm.
And the other thing that strikes me here is the horizon where the water meets the sun,
Mhm.
and how the horizon kind of strikes through this like crossing point where the hand and the knees and the tool and everything kind of goes through, and there's like this exchange between the subconscious and the conscious there, almost like an X going on
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
um and it seems like we were talking about the quintessence before,
Yep.
which is like the directed energies, and maybe there's more to it, but that's what I'm thinking of when I see that. The hand and the crown of 5 points, and then
Yeah.
the that crossing point is like almost like there's five things connecting to that just below the horizon there. And the seed has its 5 little, whatever you would call that, little beams coming off of there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
there's this the order of 5 seems to be like the conscious direction within the mind, or within this that which encompasses it.
Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to that just more see what you guys think about the foot resting on that left bubble,
The
and
subconscious.
the subconscious, and the fact that there's a boot just behind that is like, okay, what is it about the foot here? And I think back to the temperance key where the foot is in the water and then the other foot is on the ground, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
we
just
see.
want to see where that leads.
Well, we see 3 levels of our vehicles here, right? We see the inner foot, right? We see the flesh foot that covers that, and then of course the boot protects the flesh foot, right?
Right.
And we know the subconscious here is the whole language of the subconscious is imagery. This, right? The imagination is the language of the subconscious mind. It's how we really think, honestly, all the time. We think in pictures. We just don't tend to recognize it so much. It's easier to recognize when one thinks about their fantasies.
What is it? What is it with the foot exactly?
Well, what do you think it is with the foot exactly?
Well, the foot is resting on the subconscious,
Huh?
or the feminine.
Uh-huh. So in the
So
body, one interpretation for our feet is understanding. It's really
okay,
what is under our standing.
that
It's
makes
what
sense.
allows us to stand.
Could it be grounding too? Like grounded?
Yes.
But
And
it's
it's what
connecting
allows
too.
us to get from place to place, from this place to this perceived place. We don't really move anywhere, right? The self is always where the self is.
Well, that's what's interesting. There is the foot. There's the skeleton foot sitting on this
Mm-hmm.
subconscious
Mm-hmm.
feminine side, and there's the foot, the flesh foot,
Yep.
and it shows the connecting. It's almost like a connecting point there.
Yes. So from my experience, Jesse, when you have this sort of thing speaking to you in your core practice, really hold that imagery in your inner vision and allow what it brings forth to show you what it is that's calling forth from you by the question itself. Because we are transcending our intellect. We don't figure this out intellectually. It's simply too much above our level of intellect. There's so much more. It doesn't mean that we don't use our intellect, or it doesn't get to go along for the ride like the dog and the fool key. But it can only go so high, like the knee level, right, of our being.
Yeah, the hand is on the knee, and then the hand is kind of,
Mhm.
you know, there's the hand there, the
Right? Which
flesh
is
hand.
humility, right?
Yeah.
That's a sign of humility, right? Leaning not on our own understanding. And our knees, of course, is always recognizing or a greater presence and intelligence and love that's calling to us always. We just have to turn back to it within.
I think with the spine being twisted too, it's just about being flexible and adaptable to life as it
Okay.
comes.
Nice. Yes.
Doesn't it seem like that horizon is showing two aspects as well, with understanding being below, and then above is the sort of expression of our being kind of emerging,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that the knee is just below that horizon.
Right. It is interesting. All right. Does anyone else want to share anything on this key before we move forwards? Okay. Thank you all for sharing your inner light and wisdom with this class, and wonderful insights as always. So the Hebrew letter Nun means fish. One of the main functions of the 24th path of tarot is to assist us to get what we truly desire, to connect our desire nature to our true heart. Now, this is not what we as personalities think we want, but what our true self, our self in the true heart, desires for us, which is exactly what we actually really do desire, without all the input from the insanity of what the world tells us we should or shouldn't want, etc. How many trillions of dollars are spent each year planting seeds in your mind as to what you should desire? And this is how most of the economy in the world operates. They spend gazillions of dollars trying to convince you you desire, need, want this things. Fine, whatever. Okay, so some random thoughts here. Did you know that every second of your life, I want you to think about this, every second of your life, for your whole incarnation, approximately 1 million cells of your flesh body die. Every
Bye.
every
I know,
second,
I'm going in a state of panic here.
every second, this has been going on your whole life. Your
Why is it so
whole
hard to lose weight then?
those fat cells, they
we eat faster than we get rid of our.
they're not on that wagon. So yeah, approximately 1 cells of your flesh body die approximately every second your entire incarnation. Now, new cells are also being formed. The point is that the all is in the appearance of perpetual change. Perpetual change. As mentioned earlier in the Sephir Yetzirah, this path, the 24th path, is called the imaginative intelligence. Because what appears outwardly has its origin in what is first imagined within. If you want to supercharge your inner imagery and meditations. See what you wish to see within an oval, or what we call the Vesica Pisces, which Vesica Pisces means the fish bladder, and it is the tattva of spirit. Oval is the tattva of spirit. Remember, tattvas are the essence of the elements themselves. They are not just symbols for the elements. They are the elements as they appear on this vibratory level of reality. Remember, we're advised to plant all your seeds of thought in love and beauty. This is an AI image generated, sparked from the Egg of Light exercise that you can find on gates-of-light.com if you like, if you feel so inclined. It's a beautiful, wonderful, wonderful exercise that assists us in our spiritual growth and evolution, if you feel so inclined. Okay. So working with the transition key directs us towards our true self. It's just that simple. To the pure heart's desire that we are really here to unfold. Working with this key cuts away everything else that we do not truly desire, and it leaves only the white rose of pure desire. We simply must be willing to let go, like Christina brought up, of what we do not want in truth. Again, only the self knows this. And we simply need to be courageous enough to accept that which we do want. Michael brings this up often. It's so true. Most people avoid this key in the tarot for quite some time, unless they work with it for extended period, because we're very attached to our identifications in the world, right? And many of us have this negative perception of what we perceive as change. Understanding that everything is in perpetual change assists us. We go from ignorance. Most time we ignore how everything is constantly changing, because we have this, I don't know, perception that if something doesn't change, somehow we're more secure, but that's not it. And we tend to avoid this key until we see the true blessing and love that it is and that comes from it. And then we understand why the central image in this key is smiling. It is a bliss unspeakable. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I love how the smile looks kind of like a fish skeleton.
Oh.
All right. So Cabala, like many traditions, teaches there is no real death, like the way we think of it. There's only change. Like the Buddhists say, all is impermanent. And as the Master Thay, or Thich Nhat Hanh, says, a cloud never dies. Now, I want to make one very important distinction here in the Western tradition and Kabbalah, or Kabbalah. And that is, all is impermanent except the self, which never dies. Our primary directive in Kabbalah is to know the self. The true self never changes, but it manifests in ceaseless change in the appearances of the worlds. We must simply trust in the good of the all, that we are loved beyond measure, and the one self has our highest good ever in mind. Now, please pay attention to this. If you're ever tempted to doubt this is so, ask yourself, how is it that you are here right now? How is it that you even exist?
It's miraculous.
It is. It is miraculous. Out of all that could be, you are. And it is love. It is love. It is love. Because we are all loved eternally. This key, as all the major arcana in the Book of Wisdom, help us realize this about our true self. By letting go of identification with that which we are not and re-identifying with that which we truly are. This is beyond words, but not beyond knowing or experiencing for ourselves within. This is what the keys assist us to do. Just through the core practice you do each night. Before retiring to bed, stare at this key and breathe the imagery of the transition key in and out, and ask the true self to assist you to let go of what you need to let go of and receive what the self wills for you to receive. It is always walking towards love. Always. Always. Trust in this. Ask yourself to show you this. Remember to write in your journal what occurs for you to write in your journal. And see what the self initiates for change in your life this week, for the good. Blessings to us all in the sacred change that brings heaven and earth and greater union within us, and then into the world. This concludes our outer class on the 24th path of Noon, the fish, with the alchemical Cabala. Thank you all for showing up again and again. The floor is now open. Any questions or comments?